Rob, there are usually only two reasons a bridge will fail: natural disaster or something hits it. Since that wasn't the case, finding answers into the I-75 collapse will be especially challenging. Richard Miller has a doctorate in engineering and teaches at UC and says at this point in the investigation it would be dangerous to speculate. While work was being done on the bridge, tearing out that section of the overpass, Professor Richard Miller says you can't say that was a contributing factor to the collapse. He builds and researches bridges and points to the bridge collapse in Minnesota, where work was also being done.
And certainly when the I-35 bridge collapsed, they were working on it, and everyone speculated that that was the cause. And while that was part of it, they also found a design flaw, they found a deterioration. So there were a lot of things that contributed to the I-35 bridge in Minnesota. So, you know, the mere fact that they were working on it, could that have something to do with it? It could. It could be something completely different.
Finding the clues for failure isn't easy work. Miller says even when observers see cracks in bridge concrete, it doesn't mean there's a safety issue. The overpass that collapsed is primarily a steel structure. It also looks like it came down between expansion joints. Even so,
joints are always a place where things can come apart. They're joints. But, I mean, you don't know what else happened before that.
Miller doesn't believe the collapse says anything about aging infrastructure in the tri-state or even the nation when it comes to safety. The Engineering Research Center at UC is called on for testing by companies and the federal government. Miller says they've been asked to test girders until they've failed, and he has seen them take the weight of stacked semis.
We once did a test I can show you a picture of a 120-foot long concrete girder, right? Now, you don't think a concrete girder would bend very much. We bent it 2 feet, and it didn't fail.
Still, something went horribly wrong, and he believes we will find the answer, but it will likely take at least a year. I asked Professor Miller if he thinks it's possible the highway could open by tomorrow night or earlier, given all the investigating that needs to be done. He says that wouldn't surprise him. Investigators will put many of the clues together and then test the materials off-site the same way that they would look into the cause of a plane crash. Rob?
Paula, thanks very much. To put this in perspective on how many bridges are really out there that the state and the feds have to pay attention to, in Ohio alone, the state is responsible for 100,000 bridges.
Amazing.